Order. This is the regular meeting of the Planning Commission. If we could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance in a silent moment. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Call the roll, please. Here. Here. Here.
Maria Mills,
Here.
Here.
and Mike Arminio.
All right, so we got a couple guys out. This is the first meeting of the year, I think. Welcome back. Golly, it's been about time. All right, so we're going to do the election of the officers. First and foremost, we'll ask the Vice Chairman Newton, do you want to take the chair?
Yes, please.
All right. So we'll turn the chair over now, then we'll do the election. And let the minutes reflect Tom Jordan's here.
No, I don't have tech support.
You want this receipt here? Where's the name tags at?
You're at Tom's chair.
Aw, welcome, Newton. To the cool end.
Back to the
table.
end.
Cool
Started
end.
here.
How's it
Doesn't
going?
take very far to fall off.
Much better.
I
Never
see that.
healed up. I'll entertain a motion for vice chair.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to nominate Tom Jordan.
Second.
Who was that?
You weren't paying attention.
No. That's what happens when
You accept the nomination, sir?
Sure, yes, thank you.
All right, call for the vote. You need a roll call for that or no?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
David White,
Yes.
Maria Mills, Annette,
Yes.
and Bo Bofa.
Yes.
You want to include me?
You don't get to vote.
Yes.
Consideration of the minutes. Has everybody had a chance to read the minutes?
Make a motion to approve as printed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Case number 81870000001, special exception 301 Dunlawton Avenue. A request by the applicant to approve a special exception to allow off-site parking for the office located at 301 Dunlawton Avenue.
Mr. Chairman, just for the record, I think one of the applicants is a customer of mine, but it won't influence me.
Mr. Jones? Do we need does he need to?
Should we move him to the back of the agenda?
Yes.
That we heard he talked about once today.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'll recuse myself from this one then.
So I was also going to make note that I am actually a client of the applicant, if I need to recuse myself as well.
All kinds of
Can you give me like a 5-minute recess, please?
You're too popular.
All right, we'll take a 5-minute recess. Bring me back a bottle of water.
Okay.
Good evening, Mr. City Manager.
How are you?
Good. I was going to park in your parking spot, but
planner. The subject request in front of you is a special exception to use a portion of the First United Methodist Church parking located at 708 Orange Avenue to meet the parking requirements for a professional office located at 301 Dunlawton Avenue. The site plan to expand the existing office that's located at 301 Dunlawton Avenue, which is also within the Port Orange Town Center CRA, has been submitted and is under staff review at the time. As part of that site plan, a sidewalk is included to be installed in the Lafayette Street right-of-way to provide a pedestrian route between the proposed off-site parking and the office site. The proposed building expansion would increase the square footage of the existing office from approximately 1,210 square feet to 2,040 square feet, which requires 17 parking spaces. And based on the size of the site and the layout of the site, only 9 of those parking spaces fit on the site. And so the special exception request is to provide those 8 other spaces in this off-site location. The requested special exception meets all of the standard development requirements for special exceptions, as well as the additional development requirements specific to off-site parking. So staff is recommending approval, subject to an agreement being provided prior to scheduling for City Council that's assuring the continued availability of those off-site spaces, as well as the sidewalk being constructed as part of the site plan for the office expansion. The applicant is here to answer any questions you may have, and I'm also here to answer any additional questions you may have.
Lance?
What happens if the church says no?
The church is an applicant as well. They're part of the special exception request because the parking is on their site. So the church as well as the office owner are an applicant in the special exception, and they would be party to the agreement that would secure it long term. It can't move forward without their approval.
I'm just saying, what if 3 years down the road something happens and they say no, no more?
That's what the agreement is part of. It's the agreement that has to be submitted before this moves forward to City Council secures that availability of that off-site parking for the future.
Who maintains the sidewalk?
It would be a public sidewalk.
Okay, that's all I got. Well,
No, I don't have any questions.
Maria?
My only question was, so the sidewalk is just going part way?
There's
It's not going end to end?
There's actually already an approved design plan for the full sidewalk. It was part of the phased site plan approval for this parking lot here a couple years ago when this parking lot got paved. They asked for some phased improvements, one of which was the sidewalk. So this entire stretch, if this gets approved and moves forward, this entire stretch of sidewalk would then be constructed.
So it would be all complete?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's all I had.
John?
Just pure curiosity, where is the proposed building expansion going to be located in that parking lot?
Right
area?
here. Can you see my cursor?
Well, I'm looking at the other screen. Oh, yeah, okay.
Right there.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have no questions on this. Want to talk us out of it?
I'm going to tell you how excited I am about it.
I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve case number 18-700000001.
A second?
That's subject to the staff's recommendation?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, call
There
the
was
roll.
no public comment on that? Or?
Is there any public comment on this? Sorry. Thank you, Lance. Call the roll. There was no public comment. For vote, call the roll.
I'm sorry. Lance Green,
Yes.
Don Newcomb.
Yes.
Nick White,
Yes.
Maria Bell,
Yes.
Bo Golden,
Yes.
Don Jones.
Nope, not on
Abstained.
this one.
All right. Case number.
You have to stay to the end of the meeting, though, Tom, to sign forms.
Ray just wanted more parking space for parties.
Oh, I thought that was going to be his employee exercise program.
Ray. Tom, Ray. Hey, Tom.
All right, moving along. Case number 18-200000001. small-scale comprehensive plan future land use amendment for Anglers Cove subdivision at 3626 South Peninsula Drive. A request by the applicant to change the comprehensive plan future land use designation for 1.3 acres from urban high-density residential to suburban residential.
Good evening, Penelope Cruz, planner. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask at this time if the Planning Commission would like to open the next two items,
Yeah,
item
they're
8 and
together.
9.
I was just gonna say
They're
that.
part of this, the same properties applications. That way we can talk about them freely.
I was waiting for that. So done.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Okay. The subject property before you tonight is located at 3626 South Peninsula Drive, south of the Admiralty Club condominium. There are 3 applications, as we just said, under consideration. That includes a future land use amendment, PUD rezoning, and a subdivision plat and plan to reduce the allowable density on the subject property from 21 multifamily units to 5 single-family units. The requested future land use amendment is the first application before you, and they're requesting to go from urban high-density residential, which allows up to 16 units per acre, to suburban residential with a maximum density of 4 units per acre. This is a reduction in maximum allowable density from 21 units down to 5 single-family units. With the decrease in density, there is also a decrease in the potential impacts to public infrastructure and services. The proposed comprehensive plan amendment has been reviewed and is consistent with the city's comprehensive plan and also reduces the allowable density in the coastal high hazard area. The second amendment before you is a rezoning from the R3 multifamily zoning district to a planned unit development, as well as the approval of the master development agreement for the Anglers Cove PUD and the conceptual development plan. The MDA and the concept plan provide the regulatory framework for the development of the subject property as a 5-lot single-family subdivision. The concept plan, which is on the lower right-hand corner of the screen, shows the general layout of the proposed 5-lot subdivision. The proposed design, building setbacks, and lot requirements within the MDA are generally consistent with the conventional zoning category R7 that the city has in the Land Development Code. Access to the development will be provided from South Peninsula Drive via a gated entranceway at the end of Peninsula. As part of the PUD rezoning, the Planning Commission and City Council are being asked to consider the following deviations from the Land Development Code. This includes an open space request, sidewalk request, and building height. The open space requirement for planned unit developments is 40% of the total project area being dedicated as open space and a minimum of 20% of the project area being dedicated as common open space. The proposed MDA provides for 40% private open space on individual lots, similar to conventional zoning instead of a separate tract, but does provide for the required 20% common open space. Instead of providing the overall project area open space on a separate tract of land, the developer is proposing to provide this on individual lots so that the individual lots have more space to enjoy. And they are still providing the required 20% common open space in a context-appropriate manner with the boat docks. The second request that they are asking for is regarding a sidewalk. The Land Development Code requires a 4-foot wide sidewalk on either side of the road. The applicant is proposing for a 6-foot wide pedestrian path on one side of the street for the residents to basically access the common facilities on the west side of the property. The last item that they're requesting is for the building height. The Land Development Code has a maximum building height of 35 feet for PUDs, but it does have a notation that this dimensional requirement can be modified for basically a public benefit or other reasons deemed appropriate by the Planning Commission or City Council. The applicant is requesting a 45-foot maximum building height. That is the existing maximum building height of the current zoning of the property, so that does not change from current conditions of what's allowed on the property. And it's basically, they're requesting this height to allow for the potential development of 3-story custom homes is what they're putting in their covenants and restrictions, is that these lots are developed with custom home designs. And so for the ability to have those additional architectural features, they would like to have that flexibility of the 45-foot height. The existing zoning, like I said, allows for 45-foot maximum building height right now. And the applicant has stated that the public benefit is that they are reducing the density of the property from 21 units down to 5 units, therefore reducing the density in the coastal high hazard area, as well as allowing for the development of custom homes with appealing architectural designs that will lead to higher property values. The next application under consideration is for the final plat and subdivision plans for the development. The plat and plans have been designed according to the requirements of the Master Development Agreement and Concept Plan that we just discussed, as well as the city's land development requirements. The plat and plans include the required utilities and easements per the Land Development Code, a private street constructed with pavers and a 6-foot wide pedestrian path, landscape buffers, common open space, the 5 single-family lots, as well as the common boat dock facility at the west end of the property. The public facilities have been reviewed, and there are public facilities and services such as roads, infrastructure, schools, recreation, currently available to serve the proposed development. Staff's recommendation is approval of the future land use amendment, the PUD rezoning, as well as the final plat and plans. There are some conditions or items under the PUD zoning and final plat and plan because the second and third item depend on the first one being approved. So that's basically of what that is. The applicant is here if you have any questions for them, and I'm here to answer any additional questions you have as well.
Mr. Junko, do you have any questions?
I guess they're just going from a high density to low density. It'll be more expensive, more of a custom home scenario, especially lot number 5. That I would love to have. You might want to make one change on Exhibit C, the PUD development agreement you have written down there, signed by Alan Green, Mayor.
Yes, that's already being revised. That's why there's a few comments that have to be
okay. Yeah, I
revised before it goes to council.
All right, yeah, well, that's probably the only thing I want to make a note of. But other than that, it looks nice. It's a nice piece of property. It's going to have some nice homes in there. So yeah, as long as the homes, complement the property, I think it'll look nice.
Maria, questions for staff?
No, I'm all for reducing density, so everything looks good to me.
Bill?
Only question I have is, I can't see how are they going to have separate individual driveways?
Yes, sir.
So that would be
So
accessed off the road?
Off the private road, yes.
Okay. And obviously all the structures are coming down.
Yes, there's 2 existing non-conforming homes that would be demolished.
Okay. All right, that's it.
Mr. Jordan?
Yeah, I like the project. I was a little confused by where the 20% common open space is. Is designated it's on individual lots?
No, it's actually in what they're calling Tract A. It includes this private road. It's got the pavers on it, which is, they're looking at a higher end design, as well as the path. It's got includes the landscape buffers along the northern side, as well as the western side of the property, and the boat dock facility.
From that line this way.
Yep. Gotcha.
That way.
And it's on the plans, it's a separate tract, it's Tract A.
Oh, okay, thank you. And on the height, the 45 feet is the maximum height. There's
Correct.
Nothing that can go above that that's aesthetics or anything like that?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
I don't have anything yet. I'll wait to hear from the applicant.
Would like to hear from the developer. Would the developer like to present to us?
Nobody's getting up. There they are.
My name is Brad Balknick, Newkirk Engineering. I'm the engineer for the site. We have no comments. If there's anything addressed that you need to answer, that I need to answer for you guys, I'm here to help in any way.
Answer.
The common water retention is a dry retention?
Dry retention, yes, sir.
What's the elevation of the property now, and is there going to be a potential for flooding of that property?
As of right now, we've got a stormwater permit from FDEP.
Okay.
It's called a 10-2 stormwater permit. We're also, it's 4 feet above FEMA floodplain, so we're definitely out of the floodplain as well.
Okay.
The property right now is actually at X, Zone X, so
It
is
is?
out of the floodplain, yes.
Okay. That's all I got.
Mr. Jordan?
I'm good, thank you.
Well,
What's behind those properties? I couldn't see there.
From the,
On the sites where
there's a residential home on
the south
on
side.
the south side is the condo association. The north side is residential home, and on the east side is a residential home. The
Now,
west
the
is the
residential
Halifax.
home on the north side, is that staying? That's not part of it?
No, that's not part of our property, no.
Okay, so you're gonna have that home will be sitting there. It'll be accessible from Peninsula Drive separately, I guess.
No, that's off of another road. That's not, Peninsula Drive is a dead end, and it goes into our property.
Oh, okay, thank you.
done? Maria?
I think I'm good.
Okay.
John?
No, I'm fine. I'm good.
Open it up to the public. Is there any public comments on this?
Come on up.
Come. No, ma'am. You need to come to the podium, and we need to know your name and your address.
I apologize.
That's okay.
It's
okay.
No, it's okay.
We came in late. I
okay.
just need to confirm, is this Angler?
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
It is. Okay, my concern is, and I'm sorry that we came late, we thought that it was going to be further into the agenda originally, and we had a number of questions. We happen to be a property that is affected.
Did we get your
But-
name yet?
Yes,
No.
Kathleen Jordan. My husband is Greg Jordan,
Not related to me.
And your address?
3629 South Peninsula Drive.
Okay. Sorry about that, so go ahead.
Okay, you good? Okay, the way it sits and the main problem that our concerns are that it's on a residential street, a narrow residential street that is already congested, that is already experiencing quite a bit of turnarounds. This road has been plagued for many years as a dead end with turnarounds. The congested, especially on weekends, the congestion occurs because people are coming down Dunlawton and they're directed to turn down there to get to Peninsula that doesn't go through. We are a dead end. And even though there's 2 dead end signs, if you put a traffic counter on there, you would see that any traffic that you have measured is ×2 because so much is turnaround. On a daily basis, we get at least 24 turnarounds there. On the weekends, it's huge. During biker week, it's huge. I mean, we can just sit there and be entertained. Now, we did get an answer to some of our questions that we submitted earlier, but we got it very late. It was like just a little bit ago that we actually saw it and were able to read it. From what I can see is you're measuring the traffic that goes in, and I forgot the number that you came up with, but you need to times it by 2. Because any delivery, it's a dead end. Deliveries aren't going to go down and then go to another road.
Okay.
They're going to turn around and they're going to come back. Our property, the way the gate is shown, it actually intersects our property a little bit. So anything that's backed up waiting for a gate to open is going to be backed up in front of our property. That's definitely going to affect our quality of life and our ability to get in and out. On top of that, directly across from us and our driveway is the egress of the Admiralty Club, which you're talking about, the condominium. And that house is, 70 units? There's a huge amount of people that are coming out of there all the time. Right now, there's potential for many accidents just because of the turnarounds that come flying down the road as people are egressing, and there's no stop sign there, and usually when they come out, they just come out. I have to be very careful when I pull into my driveway, because I know if a car is coming there, they're not going to stop. They're just going to pull right out on the peninsula. I'm addressing these concerns and the effect that it's going to have on not just our property. Now, we're pretty close. I know that and then there's another property that's right next to us, which is a residential home, which will actually, and I don't know what they've worked out, but it looks like it's going to be right in the gate. Now, that gate being right there is going to affect us. And I would just like to see some more reassurance that these concerns are going to be addressed, because it's definitely going to affect our way of life. My husband may have said something that I forgot. Okay, thank you.
I will ask you one question. Has the developer met with you yet?
No.
Okay.
I added to your traffic count today when I went down to look at the property. I can't remember, is there a dead end sign on that?
Yes, there's two of them, and we still get 24. I mean, we've counted them. It's quite entertaining during bike week, because you'll have 3 or 4, maybe 5 bikers come right down to the end, trying to turn around their bikes. I mean, so now, where there's no cul-de-sac, there's no turnaround. So now they're going to have the gate, they're going to have the egress right there, and they're going to have our driveway. We are going to be impacted heavily by turnarounds.
I had to back into your driveway to turn around today. So.
My name is Greg Jordan. I can shed a little bit more information. I had met on several occasions with the Port Orange traffic sergeant. We instituted he came out on several occasions, and we got an extra dead end sign on Peninsula and I think it's DeSoto, the corner up there. They put a dead end sign up there, but the way the traffic sergeant said, unless we redesign the turn there, you're going to get this down all the time. But that being said, the gate location in reference to the egress of Admiralty Club is only 30 feet at best, and they're in the egress. So if a garbage truck stops, which the garbage trucks, we all have to live with this stuff, but the garbage trucks don't have any way to turn around. So they back down the street. In most cases, they'll back all the way down the street at 6 o'clock in the morning and pull up to pick up the trash to our neighbor here, which would now be inside the gate. They've got no way to turn around. The ones that come straight down have to back up into the exit, the egress of the Admiralty Club to turn around. And I've addressed it with the Admiralty Club, and they were considering putting a gate up at one time themselves. If they did put a gate up there, we're going to have a heck of a mess on the end of that street. And I've had 3, they have to have the fire service periodically check the fire alarms and so forth in the Admiralty Club. And what they do is they've got the fire trucks, and when they come out the egress, they can't make the turn onto the highway, so they go over my front yard and my driveway to exit. When they miss the Admiralty Club's entrance, which is easy to do because it's not posted, they come down and there's no way for them to do, and they have to back the hook and ladder truck up, and there's just no turnaround there. There's no way.
Can I?
Yes.
I was just going to say, I totally understand all of your concerns and everything, but you have to understand we're approving this development for less homes.
I understand.
So it's actually a benefit to you at this point. The gate issue is maybe something you can meet with the developer with. I'm not sure what the answer to that is, but as far as what we're approving tonight is a total benefit to you.
I
understand. You can have 12
right.
homes in there instead of 5.
Right. Instead of 21. I think it was 21.
Exactly.
Right. No,
so a total benefit to you.
Are you Penny?
I'm Maria.
I'm Maria. Okay. Well, Penny answered my questions, and that was great. And she was more than understanding and addressed all the problems I had and my concerns. And I'm not against the development. I'm just against what we've seen as far as the traffic situation and how it's going to increase, not only with the, you're just speaking of 5 units.
Well,
The 5 units is nominal compared to the service vehicles that are going to be involved here.
Well, I'm not
getting
sure
in and
if
out of
there's
the
a way
gate.
to make some kind of turnaround, but
Well, somebody, when they originally started, they said they were going to put a hammerhead down there so we could have a turnaround for the service vehicles. Even the police department, Port Orange Police Department comes down the street, has to back up and go in the egress of the Admiralty Club. And it says, do not enter, exit only. It's going to be a disaster down there. And I
will
just want you aware of
encourage
it.
you. Usually we have a 3-minute per speaker time
Thank you.
limit.
Thank you
But
for
I
your
will
time.
encourage you, I've had a similar problem with the garbage trucks early in the morning. To my knowledge, they're not supposed to be out and backing up in people's residential areas until 7 a.m. So I
No,
would
we're
suggest that you call the Public Works Department about that. And similar to if the fire department's damaging your yard, then
Well, like I said,
contact the city
I
manager.
didn't know if maybe you guys could institute or direct us, because this is the first opportunity we've actually had to talk to anybody.
I
I tried to
apologize.
meet with the developer.
Yeah, I apologize for that.
Mr. Chair, if I could add to this,
Sure.
they did incorporate in their drawings an auto-turn truck exhibit. And they, on the drawing number 16, it does demonstrate how large vehicles will basically coming in and out of there. And it does has to do directly with doing possible U-turns, I believe, on lot number 1. But if you go onto your PDF file on drawing number 16, you'll see how they demonstrate how
What
the
page of the PDF is that?
page, oh goodness, let me shrink this.
You have to excuse
That's what
us,
I was
we're
looking
getting
for a
used to
minute ago.
being
Couldn't
Yeah.
find it.
Yeah, right, I know. Yeah, somebody in my business.
Oh, here we go.
Fire truck, it's a fire truck path. And
What
you'll
page?
see it.
17, page
Um,
17.
I don't know, I gotta scroll it less. It's right before the next case. So it's the last document. Page 74.
74. Yep, there it is.
Is that inside the gate or outside the gate?
Doesn't show on here, but they're showing being able to turn it around, so.
Yeah.
And it is using, I believe it's lot 1 because the furthest lot is lot number 5.
Right.
So I'm assuming if it's numeral order, it's lot number 1.
Penelope-
So I wouldn't want to live in lot 1.
Penelope
Yeah.
Cruz, planner. There is a turnaround that has been provided, and the applicant can speak to that. It has been reviewed by Waste Pro, Public Works, as well as the fire department. The fire truck has been modeled because it is larger than the garbage truck that is used out there. All agencies have reviewed it and approved it and said it actually provides better access than what's there currently because it provides a
Okay.
backup for the whole area. And the applicant
Perfect.
can speak more to that.
So that's an
Well, there is no
that's another
access
improvement for you.
now.
All right, well, thank you for your
So
comments.
anything would be better. Okay, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Brad Balknick, Newkirk Engineering. The only other thing I probably would want to add is that the gate will be open during the day, so it will allow vehicles to go through in and out. And it does have that hammerhead in the front of the property, which you don't have anything yet as of today. And of course, it'll be closed during the night. So.
Okay, thank you. Is there any further public comment? All right. Any board comments?
I think this is an opportunity, again, to, in the total scheme of things, is decrease the density. I understand the traffic is an issue. The traffic's always going to be an issue. Here's a piece of property that could go either way. Based on the zoning it has right now, it could go to 21 units. And that would be a disaster, okay? So to take this to 5 units of probably some custom homes, putting 5 custom homes on the tax roll up to, you know, I understand that you could build an apartment complex there, but 5 houses is going to be way less impact than what it could be. And I think by this zoning change, it's going to make that property better for the residents in the long term. That's all I have.
Agreed.
Tom?
I agree. The issue is really between the 21 and the 5 units that are proposed here. neither one helps the situation you've got, but going this route definitely reduces the number of potential traffic trips down to that particular area. I understand. So I appreciate your concerns. That's it.
Oh,
Also, I think it'll raise your property value, so there'll be a benefit there to you.
I've already said I totally agree with what they said. I think this is going to be a benefit in the long run compared to what could be there.
Lesser of two evils. It's definitely nicer.
I agree with what my fellow board members have said. Anything that's less density, it's going to produce far less traffic, far less need for a trash truck, far less need for deliveries. 5 is much better than 21 when it gets to that. I think most of the concerns were answered, and I do want to thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Jordan, for coming here tonight. I know first time probably in a public meeting. Appreciate you being here and being heard. Thank you very much. And with that, we need a motion. Can we need to make them on separate motions?
Yes, and I've put up the screen with the various items for each one as far as the motion.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve case number. Wait a minute, I gotta go back to the first one here. We got case number is 18-50000001 as amended by staff comments.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Matt Green?
Yes.
Tom Jordan?
Yes.
Jim White?
Yes.
Darrell Wolfman?
Yes.
Maria Mills Burnett?
Yes.
John Moore?
Yes.
Carries unanimously. Need a motion.
Make a motion to approve case number. Which one is it?
18-6500001.
Again, is 0001 again?
65, 5 zeros and a 1.
I've lost it. I gotta go all the way back to the front of my
18-6500000.
The only bad part about trying to get used to no paper.
Did you get that case number? 18-6500001 as amended with staff comments.
Second.
Mr. Buckman, seconds. Call the roll, please.
Matt Green?
Yes.
Tom Jordan?
Yes.
Jim White?
Yes.
Darrell Wolfman?
Yep.
Maria Mills Burnett?
Yes.
And John Moore?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. I'll entertain a motion for case number 9.
Make a motion to approve case number.
I think
What was that?
we did 9 first, so go back to 7 if you would.
Wait, say that again.
I think you read the 18-50000001 first, so I think we're on 18-2. Is that right, Penny?
I did not hear what he said.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
Okay,
if you'll
then
go
we're out
to
of
7.
We need
So make a motion to approve 18-000007.
18-2.
Two.
and
Two.
then
00001.
One. There we-
I'm so confused.
I'll second it if she's making the motion.
I am somehow.
Okay, because I'm not going to say the motion again.
Is there amendments on that?
There's no amendment.
yes. There were.
There's no
There was
staff,
no
not for the
amendment.
future land use amendment, no.
Call the roll.
Matt Green?
Yes.
Tom Jordan?
Yes.
Jim White?
Yes.
Darrell Wolfman?
Yes.
Maria Mills Burnett?
Yes.
John Moore?
Yes.
All right, now where are we? Motion carried unanimous.
45 feet, guys. 45 feet.
Okay.
Case number
That's the end
10.
of Angler's Cove. Now we're on item number 10. Case number 18-250000002. Land Development Code Text Amendment /PC, a workplace district. A request by the applicant to amend Chapter 17, Section 29E of the Land Development Code to increase the percentage of planned community agriculture workplace district allowed to be developed as multifamily, amend the landscape buffer requirement for a multifamily development abutting single-family residential zone property, and change the minimum living area requirement for a multifamily dwelling unit.
Good
And are there
evening.
any other items that go with this one?
No, sir. Good evening, Penelope Cruz, planner. So I'd like to start out with some background on this first. The proposed amendment is for the PCA, the Planned Commercial Agriculture workplace district. The PCA zoning district was adopted in 2012. The subject area here on this image in red is the property that the applicant has applied for this amendment for. The subject area was designated for commercial uses when that PCA zoning district was created in 2012. But prior to that, the subject property was also designated for commercial uses dating back as far as 1998, so at least 20 years now. The applicant's proposed amendment is to increase the percentage of the PCA workplace district that is allowed to be developed as multifamily from 7% to 13%. There was an amendment back in 2012. I'm sorry, I think I jumped ahead a little bit. There was an amendment in 2012 that allowed multifamily to be developed on a portion of the workplace district, 7% of it. And then about a year later, the White Palm Apartments were developed, which basically took most of that 7%. What is available, what's remaining after the development of the White Palm Apartments is about 2.4 acres. That is why the applicant is here tonight. I'm proposing to amend the PCA workplace district to increase that percentage that can be developed in the workplace district from 7% to 13%. They also have in their application an amendment to the rear buffer requirements as well as the minimum living area requirements for multifamily dwelling units. If it is approved, the applicant intends to submit a site plan to develop a 292-unit multifamily complex with 2 commercial outparcels. The first part of the applicant's request is to increase the percentage of the PCA workplace district from 7% to 13%. What that would do is increase the area of the workplace district that can be developed as multifamily from 29.4 acres to 54.6 acres, which would basically allow for one more development, the development that they're proposing if they get their site plan in first, if this is approved. As part of their application, the applicant conducted a market study that shows the demand for multifamily in the area, and I'm sure that they'll speak to that. They have a presentation that they'd like to give you. So I won't get into the details of their market study. The applicant also conducted a traffic analysis to evaluate their request and the impacts that it would have on area roadways. That analysis is in your staff report packet, and it shows the potential to reduce the net vehicular trips by over 2,000 trips when compared to the potential commercial development that's currently allowed on the property. I just want to let the Planning Commission as well as the public know that a full transportation concurrency review as well as any required mitigation for transportation impacts will be assessed with the site plan if this is approved. Oops, I don't want to go too far. The second part of the applicant's request is to amend the rear buffer requirements. The applicant's proposed buffer that they're proposing on the rear is an area right here that backs up to the retention pond that's 50 feet wide, as well as a 100-foot wide natural landscape buffer with an aluminum picket fence. What the Land Development Code currently requires is if a multifamily development were to go there today, the buffer requirement is 20 feet wide with a berm and a fence. And if a commercial development were to go there, as the zoning allows today, the buffer requirement would be 20 feet wide with a fence. And like I said, they are proposing this 50-foot wide buffer and a 100-foot wide natural buffer with the aluminum picket fence. The third part of the applicant's request is to reduce the minimum living area for multifamily units. Based on the analysis in the staff report, which is in Table 1 of the staff report, the requested minimum living area is comparable to that that's allowed in nearby cities. The applicant's market study also stated that those studio apartments, which appear based on their concept plan to be about 15% of what they're proposing, have a higher demand, higher occupancy rate, and higher rent growth rate. So that sums up their request. In summary, they're requesting to amend the Land Development Code to allow 13% rather than 17% of the PCA workplace district to be developed as multifamily. That would basically allow for one more site to be developed as multifamily. Amend the rear buffer requirements and the minimum living area for multifamily units. If it's approved, they intend to submit the site plan for a 292 multifamily unit complex with 2 commercial out parcels. And again, I just want to note that tonight we're reviewing the Land Development Code amendment to allow for the use. A site plan, if it's approved, will be submitted after that. The site plan will review a detailed environmental analysis. It'll be subject to St. Johns River Water Management District review and permitting. It'll be subject to a review of a transportation impact analysis and transportation fair share agreement for mitigation of transportation impacts. The applicant is here and does have a presentation prepared that they'd like to give you.
Lance, do you have any questions for Ms. Cruz?
Not yet.
Tom?
Yeah, a quick question on the 2 commercial pieces that are in here. Those can be done right now, right?
Yes, the whole site can be developed as commercial right now.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Bo? Maria? John?
6% increase lower vegetation buffers, and what's the size that they want to decrease the homes from?
From the minimum living area right now is 600 square feet, and they'd like to be able to have some units at a minimum of 500 square feet.
Thank you.
And there's a comparison table in Table 1 of the staff report.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question too. The fence that you spoke, is the fence difference between, we're talking like a cypress fence or a plastic PVC fence, or the aluminum picket fence? What's in the current code and what are they asking for?
The current code requires a 20-foot buffer with an opaque fence. The current code has language in it that if a development proposes a wider buffer than what's currently required, so wider than 20 feet, the administrative official has the ability to change the requirements for a fence. That flexible language is not in the specific PCA district, so they're just asking to basically apply that because they are wanting to provide a wider buffer than the minimum required. So the minimum required is 20 feet. They're wanting to be able to put a 50-foot buffer and a 100-foot buffer with an aluminum fence that's not opaque. And they can speak to that a little bit more. They've basically stated that the increased width of the buffer doesn't require a opaque fence. They also, in your packet, was a balloon survey that they did that tried to test basically the visibility, and this was during the winter when there was low foliage, of what that 50-foot and 100-foot buffer would reveal. And they can speak to that in a little bit more detail.
That was pretty interesting.
Okay. Like to hear from the developer then.
Chairman, Commission members, Rob Merrill for the record, 149 South Ridgewood with the Cobb Cole Law Firm. Congratulations on your new job.
Thank you, sir.
I'm going to try to take your advice, the advice you gave Joe Hopkins earlier, not to talk you out of anything, so I'm going to try to be as brief as I can. And I've got a few people I want to introduce. We've got most of this part of the room over here is our team that's been involved in this project for about a year. So I want to thank them. I'm not going to introduce them all individually, but Elizabeth Adler's here with me. She and Chris Moore came all the way from Wisconsin, so I thought I'd make sure that you guys know that they came far for this hearing. Clay Whitfield's also here from CBL, came from Tennessee as well. So these folks have come from a long way and been involved for a long time. So I wanted to make sure we took at least a few minutes to say thank you to them and to introduce them to you for questions.
I just wanted to get out of the snow.
Yeah, I don't blame them for
so I think they're here, for other reasons, hopefully. So what I'm going to do is I want to say thank you to Penny and Tim. I don't know whether you guys recognize the quality of staff that you have here in Port Orange. I have practiced land use law here for 30-something years in a lot of different cities, and you've got about the best in the business right here. So Penny's given you not only a nice, succinct presentation tonight of her much heavier staff report, but I'd ask you to please rely on the report that she's given you. She's given you all the analysis that's necessary and answered all the questions, I think, in advance, so I'm not going to dwell on all of them. There are a lot of points that I could go through, but I'm not going to talk you out of anything. But I would like to have Elizabeth come up. She's got a nice PowerPoint, talk to you a little bit about their company, what they've done elsewhere. I think having a track record is important to establish, someone who's not in Port Orange developing now, who you know who they are from what they've done. And she's going to talk to you a little bit about the project and the quality that she's bringing to you. After that, I'd like to have an opportunity to stand up and answer any questions that anybody from the audience has. I know we've got some folks maybe from the property next door potentially that have questions, so I want to let me have the opportunity to respond to questions from me or any of the group that have come here on behalf of the team. So with that, maybe start with questions for me on the overview, and then we'll let Elizabeth walk through the project.
From what being a developer and a builder, I understand your direction that you're doing. You're trying to maximize as much units as possible and allow certain things to happen so you can have maximum occupancy on this property. Is that correct?
That's not necessarily correct. And by the way, let me let Elizabeth present the project to you first. I didn't mean to open up the floor for things that she's going to tell you about. So let's go, let her run through her PowerPoint, and you'll find out a lot more about the project before you ask questions.
Is that good with everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
Go for it.
Okay, excellent. Again, my name is Elizabeth Adler. I'm here on behalf of Continental Properties. Thank you for having us tonight. So for my presentation, I want to kind of start big picture, talk a little bit about Continental, who we are, and then kind of zoom in from there, talk about what we've done, why we think Port Orange is an excellent place to be, and then kind of dive into the details of our proposed site plan, and then open it up for questions. So a little bit about Continental Properties. We were founded in 1979. We are a privately held national retail, multifamily, and hospitality developer. We have developed what we have branded as our Springs community that I will go into a little further detail a little bit further along in my presentation. I'll go into detail about our Springs product, but we have developed over 18,000 of these apartment homes within 18 different states. We develop, own, and operate all of them, and there's no third-party management involved with our product. So 18 states means one thing, but I think showing you an image of our portfolio and pipeline is also extremely helpful. So this is just to give you an idea of where we are throughout the country. Those identified in green are projects that we're working with municipalities through entitlements and approvals. Those in blue are currently under construction, and those in red are currently up in operation. And to zoom in even further, we are no stranger to the state of Florida. We currently have 7 properties that are fully operational. We have 4 that are under construction and 3 that we are working through entitlements with. And as you can see, we've identified the Springs at Port Orange on this map as well. So there's a lot going on this slide, but so what I really want to make sure is clear to the commissioners is that we do a lot of research on the front end to make sure a market is looking for us. We don't want to just walk in somewhere and offer up a product type that we do not think would be beneficial to the area. So from a national perspective, we've seen over the past 10 years that the renter population has grown by over 7 million people. To kind of bring that to a smaller scale, more locally, based on our internal projections and our studies that we've done, we're projecting that the total households in Volusia County are projected to grow up to 14,000 more homes. And of those, we're predicting there to be over 8,000 of those homes looking to rent. And so we feel that the Springs would bring another opportunity for housing for those that live in the area, and we feel that it's extremely beneficial for the neighborhood. This is more of an outline just about our demographics of the residents. Of the 38 communities here, we have a median household income of $70,000, which so not only are residents using that money for personal things, they're then taking those and they have a lot of spending power to put back into the economy. These are market rate apartment units, and we know that our residents enjoy spending time locally where they're living. They like to work there, they like to be there, and they like to put a lot of that money that they're earning back into their local economy as well. Just to reiterate that point, we really feel that this housing option would not only support the local economy, but also ideally it would house some of the local employers in the area. It would give another opportunity for individuals that work around the area to live close by. So now that we were a little bigger picture, now to zoom in on what we're really here to focus on is the property in question that we are interested in building, the Springs community. So our subject site is located just west of Williamson Boulevard and I-95. As staff articulated well in the report, we are proposing a 292 unit community at this time. Most of our goals are aligned with the Port Orange's comprehensive plan goals as far as it being a place to live, work, be, We really feel that this would complement the neighborhood. And also, I would act as a very good transitional use from the commercial users, and the single family would act as a nice buffer in between those two areas. So a little bit more about kind of the Springs product and why we feel like we're such a unique residential option is that it's only a 2-story townhome style approach to apartment living. So I say townhome style, it is apartments, it's all for rent. But it's all direct access. So if there's 20 units in a building, it's all ground level. There are 20 doors around the building front, so everyone has their own individual access. There's no shared common hallways, and we feel that that's a very attractive product to a variety of demographics.
No stairwells.
What's that?
No stairwells.
Yes, with stairwells, correct. So then to focus in on our proposal here at Port Orange, we are proposing 292 units within 12 multifamily buildings and a clubhouse. It will be gated and fenced. Our clubhouse has a pool, a 24-hour fitness center that is open to the residents, as well as a demonstration-style kitchen. So we allow the residents to rent out the space in the event they want to host a birthday party or some other gathering larger than they can host in their own apartment. We are pet friendly, so we provide 2 pet parks throughout the project that would be, they're gated, so the residents can let their pets off leash and run around for exercise. And we also have a maintenance and car care center, so residents can use that to drive. They'll drive up and there's a power washer and they can wash their car. We also have a bath for individuals to wash to give their pets a wash or a bath. And then we also have trash and recycling on site. So we'll have an enclosure on site in one location, but then we offer different amenities to residents. We have a valet trash option, so we have someone come around the property every night and pick up trash and things like that. So because we do operate these, we take a lot of care in making sure they're clean and kept well. So I think that is the end of my summary. So I will open it up, or maybe hand it back to Rob and then open up for questions.
Yeah, I want to just do a couple quick highlights on a couple of things I want to make sure we get out there before we have questions. To start with, kind of going back to what Penny was trying to tell you about the concept of what we're bringing here. This is, I think you know, this area was planned maybe 15, 17 years ago for a mixture of uses. Things have changed in the marketplace, things have changed in the real world between then and now, including one of the most noteworthy things I was fortunate to be involved in, which is the Pavilion, the largest shopping opportunity in the county, which, you guys are the envy of lots of other cities that didn't get that. Thank you, CBL. So what happens there is, I think it drives the need for more residences in the vicinity. Hence our market study and our reason for being here. But I want to talk a little bit about what's allowed there now, because we had this conversation about some of the other matters that came before you tonight. What's allowed there now by virtue of the existing plan is a 1 FAR commercial, which is over 1 million square feet of commercial on this piece of land, versus less than 300 apartments. So when you weigh those things in terms of intensity or amounts, density is the wrong word because we're not talking about density, we're talking about intensity when we talk about 1 million square feet plus a commercial. But that's what's there allowed now, and we're changing it to this. Without question, Elizabeth talked about and Penny, I think, referred in her analysis to you with the transition, if you will. Single family, multifamily, commercial, and then some industrial nearby. So it flows the way it should from a planning standpoint. So I think that and the complementary uses that you find when you bring the people living here who can get their entertainment and shopping and restaurant opportunities by walking, bicycling, or a short vehicular distance rather than getting a lot of long trips out onto the road. Those are some of the highlights of the things that Penny had, of the dozens of things that she said were good reasons for doing this. But I try to steer you back to please trust your professional staff and their judgment that they've given you, and not, if you want to talk about any of these components, I'm happy to talk about it from my perspective as well, but they've given it to you in, like I said, dozens of different points that I think are relevant to the decision that's in front of you tonight. So with that, we'll answer any questions from you guys, and I'd like to have the opportunity to answer questions from the audience if they come up.
John?
Same questions I asked earlier, they weren't answered. I was confirming your interest in why it was going up 6% increase. Your vegetation buffers and your decreased size of homes is, I'm understanding you're just trying to maximize the amount of units.
Let's do this one at a time. 6% increase of what?
You went from 7% to 13%.
Okay, what that's doing is that's a percentage of the entire area out there that could be residential.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty small percentage. It started off pretty small. So the 13% is simply allowing this exact number of units. Is it dense? Absolutely not, relatively speaking. So the units that we're talking about here right now is exactly what we're doing, no more, no less. That's where the percentage had to come from. So it is not a, so when you talk about maximizing things, we could have said 600. Let's do 600 units. We did. So we're doing less than what we could have asked for. We're doing what the market's bringing. So in terms of your third question, which was the square footage, Elizabeth can elaborate on the 500 versus 600 minimum. So apparently, you know, the market is some people, some elderly, I think, and some younger people are looking for the 500s instead of the 600s. And so it's market driven. So I spend a lot of time in my profession struggling with the regulatory requirement versus what the market really wants. And in this case, it's the second thing, and a lot of times you should think about that. So unless it's an evil that you're trying to prevent, which 500 versus 600 square foot apartments, I don't get the problem. But if there is an evil, let's talk about the exact reason for it, and we'll try to fix it. So your middle question was again?
Well, you're reducing vegetation buffers, and
Okay.
again, that's another indication that you're trying to.
So what's happening here is the existing code, like Penny was saying, requires an opaque fence. So that's not a vegetative reduction here. This is an opaque fence with a 20-foot vegetative buffer, or decorative aluminum fence that you can see through, and a 50-foot or 100-foot buffer. Not only is it intuitively obvious, but we did a balloon test, a scientific study, to bring empirical data to you to show you the view from the residences, from the single-family residences, is going to be minimal because of the existing vegetative buffer of 50 and 100 feet. It's unprecedented, I think. I don't think you've seen many single-family and apartments have a 100-foot buffer. But in this case, we not only have a 100-foot buffer, we have lots of open space behind them to the residences. So this is, in my view, and I think your professional staff can weigh in, I think it's unprecedented in Port Orange. It certainly is in other jurisdictions that I work.
And you essentially, I mean, the main gateway is really Dunlawton from this project, correct?
No, the main entrance is going to be from Summertrees.
Summertrees?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I mean, it fronts mostly on Dunlawton.
Right, right.
I meant to say Williamson.
No, I'm looking at the Olive Garden. I'm looking at, you know.
It says
it's
full
okay.
access point from Williamson.
I'm just also, we've had past concerns about
Why don't we
future
put the plan?
traffic.
Why don't we put the plan back up? Can we do that? Yeah, the big one.
Oh, sure. Yeah, it might be.
So the primary access is from Summertrees. And I want to anticipate, while Penny's doing that, some of the grumbling that I hear. So what I'm going to say is that the access off Summertrees, you know, it gives rise to the where are the cars coming and going. That's where they would primarily be coming and going. The good news is 1 million square foot of commercial coming and going versus less than 300 apartments. That's what you're weighing here in terms of transportation.
All right, thank you very much.
And if I might just add on to the studio square footage reduction comment, currently our floor plans, they're constantly being revised and it's a lot of iterations. Currently our smallest unit is actually 551 square feet, but as you know, 50 square feet can disappear quickly when revising floor plans and trying to make the building work within the envelope. So we currently are proposing 551 with a little bit of wiggle room in the event a studio does need to be
Thank you.
smaller. Sure.
John, Ben?
I'm done. Yeah,
Maria?
Thank you.
So I hate to beat a dead horse, but traffic is always a problem when we're talking about these things. And I'm still unclear because I see a full access point coming from Williamson.
Yeah, there's an existing full access there now, right? Well, Matthew, let's have our expert come up. Sorry, this is probably the best way to do it. You got the lawyer trying to be the expert. That's wrong.
Matthew West, LTG Incorporated, 1450 West Granada Boulevard, Ormond Beach. The access that's shown on Williamson, of course, is to accommodate access, emergency access to White Palms, as well as the commercial out parcel. Right now, there's no existing driveway there, but it lines up with the U.S. Foods driveway across the street.
Right.
Being a county road, if when we go in to permit an access there, we're going to have to, have extensive review by the county and comply with the regulations for how any access may be placed there. And it may not be a full access. We haven't done the studies, we haven't provided the data, but right now the plan is conceptual in nature.
But be clear, and sometimes the lawyer shouldn't ask the questions unless he knows the answer, but this is a dedicated right-of-way at this point because of White Palm now, right? It's already been established as part of the approval that we did for White Palm.
Well, my thought process is getting in and out of there on Williamson is going to be impossible.
I hear you.
Well, it should be right in, right out only.
Could be right in, right out.
Right.
You know.
It could be directional. It could be limited to directional lefts or something.
Let's talk about U-turns in front of Target.
And really, what you're looking at is 2,900 commercial trips in the PM peak hour, versus what I analyzed here was the maximum you could put there is 397 dwelling units, but they're only putting 292. And with 397 dwelling units, you're talking 175 trips in the PM peak hour versus 2,900.
Okay.
That's the exclamation point.
So I couldn't tell where I'm assuming the access from Summer Trees is where it says vehicular gate. They would be coming in through there.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, it says full access.
You look at the bottom right-hand
I
side,
see.
just above the green area that's...
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay. My next question is, have you thought about, these are rental apartments, have you thought about ownership townhomes? You said it looks like a townhome. I'm usually a proponent for ownership. I'd rather see ownership in this city than a bunch more rentals that we already have a ton of.
We're in the business of rentals, and that's what we're here to propose.
Okay. I'm good.
So?
Yeah, I got a couple of questions. I think I heard you say that there's going to be a reduction in the traffic impact relevant to what?
Right now, that site can be developed as over 1 million square feet of retail. And based on that, my analysis shows that if you had 1 million square feet of retail there would be about 2,900 vehicle trips in the PM peak hour, versus the apartments at 397 units rather than 292, you'd have 175 vehicle trips in the PM peak hour. So the fact that they're not even maximizing to the 397, they're going to have 100 less. You're going to have less than 175 trips trying to get in and out of that site in the peak hour.
Okay, that makes sense. Another question I have is, what is the demographic of the people that are going to be living there?
Our typical demographic from an age perspective is usually between 20 and 34, or we'll have empty nesters. We have a variety of individuals that are employed in multiple different sectors, so we have a wide variety of in the medical field or in the business office, or of different varieties like that.
And you also mentioned that they're projecting 18,000 homes in Volusia County over what period of time?
Projecting 8,000 homes in
How
by 8,000
8,000.
by about 2020, based on current projections and
In
growth
Volusia
rates.
County.
Correct.
We got 6,900 going in.
Yeah, I was going to say
Up at
that's us.
Margaritaville.
Okay.
So where are the rest going?
And Mosaic. And Mosaic.
Yeah, and then we got Mosaic.
They're building one a day, but so count on the
I don't think that number's right. Yeah. Okay. That's it.
Tom?
Yeah, I get the concept here, but I think the grumbling is going to be on Summer Trees. Summer Trees is insane already, and traffic coming from Taylor up to Summer Trees, turning left, backs up just about all day long, and your main full access point that you've got there coming off of Summer Trees is a real problem. And I know that's not technically part of what we're doing tonight, but in order to approve this, that is a major concern for me.
Can I try to answer the question, if it's a question?
Wasn't a question, it was
Okay.
just a statement.
All right.
Thank you.
Then I'll elaborate when you're done.
That'd be great.
Okay.
There you go. And you've got that same entrance is being used for an entrance into that corner commercial lot at Summer Trees in Williamson, right? That is a question there. That's
So
correct.
the question is, the corner lot could be commercial, yes, and it would be. We don't know. We don't know whether how it's going to be right in, right out. So the question comes up when this comes in with a project.
Right.
No project now.
I understand that.
Just
I got
concept.
that. But everybody that's going to speak tonight is going to talk about that.
Yep.
And these are townhomes where you said 2-story, so it's detached garages, as I understand?
They
Some.
are some, yes. Some buildings have attached garages, and there are also detached provided throughout.
Gotcha. Okay, that's all I have for you. Thank you.
So editorial comment overview one more time from what you were saying. I think trying to draw from where questions might come, if yours wasn't a question. I think when you're talking about the actual movement of cars in and out, where the driveways are, where the turn lanes are needed, and et cetera, whether they're restricted, it comes down to when we come in with an actual site plan that says this is what we're doing, we want a building permit to build something, because that's when the cars actually get on the road, right? So, but in this case, you're getting enough of the concept. We're giving you way more than we normally would, just so you understand what we're bringing in order to get the concept part done. But when we come in, all that'll be worked out. But at the same time, what you are talking about today is the big picture thing that I'm trying to bring forward with the 1 million square feet of commercial plus, or the 300 or less.
And if you were to move that, you either move it closer to Williamson on Summer Trees, or you move it closer to Windsor Hill. Because really, that's the trouble.
Yeah. And so again, if you were, for instance, if I was a shopping center developer doing 1 million square feet here, I'd want as much as I could right on Williamson, of course, right? Yeah. And you'd be trying to figure out how to restrict it as much as you could so it didn't create more traffic entanglements. In this case, they brought it over to Summer Trees, and I think it's a little better design that way, but we'll bring a design to you when it's ultimately in that forum.
Thanks.
Lance?
Rob, you know, as I've sit up here for all these years, my main thing is how we separate residential from commercial. And here's a prime opportunity and a prime example of how do we buffer. And again, I'm very against decreasing any buffers, more so as I am if we have to add vegetation in this buffer to make it thick. The fence, I think, is a good idea as far as it being whatever, just for security purposes, correct? Mm-hmm. The compound is secure. Is that right?
Yeah, it's secure. Of course, this is a functional fence and decorative, so it's an expensive one. It's more than we would have to spend on the plastic fence.
But it's, how tall is it all around the property? It's like 6 foot tall?
5 foot.
5 foot.
Okay.
You know the fencing we're talking about. It's the aluminum fencing that's picketed.
Then my other issue is going to be the traffic. Obviously, it's going to be the traffic and how we play into our fair share. And the cars and the traffic that I see here impact our biggest point, which is under the highway. And getting involved in the fair share of the extension of Yorktown Boulevard would benefit this project as well as everybody who lives out there. So I know we talked about fair share, and hopefully that's something that you guys are open to, because, you know, by changing this percentage, and we are kind of, and I don't know if Penny, if we could, or Penelope, if we could ever keep changing this percentage, or they keep coming back, keep changing more and more and more, I don't know. But obviously, like you're saying, we're taking from 7% from the original, and we're doubling it, okay? But the ultimate comes down to is how much traffic impact and where are they coming from, where are they going? So we're putting more stress on what we have, but fair share wise would definitely help out in the long run. You guys
Agreed.
are open to the fair share?
Yeah, so what I'll say is procedurally and conceptually, absolutely, when we have a site plan approval, that's the trigger for concurrency review.
Okay.
So we're going to do that. We're going to find out where the trips are going, what they break, and what percentage of it it's attributable to our project, and what do we have to fix.
Yeah.
Now, I could tell you that a million square feet of commercial would have a lot more things to fix than this.
I understand.
So just intuitively, so you know that. And so that exercise will absolutely happen. So Lance, another part of this, though, is kind of the mechanical pieces, not just the share of things externally that might break.
Yeah.
Also, making sure all the turn lanes are done the way they're supposed to be, and it's regulated such that we don't have traffic accidents right at the site, you know, and so people can flow in and out safely, including the part down here at Summer Trees where these folks might have concern. And you know this, I think, better than anybody sitting up here. Without question, we have a lot of good parks in Port Orange. We love all our parks. If this is a park, there'd be less traffic probably. Maybe, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, this one's not a park. It's one that's supposed to be a commercial operation or something else. And we're comparing what could be to what we're asking for, and I think it's in your favor.
Yeah, we've laid down that footprint. We've laid down that footprint for the whole district.
Right.
You know, for the whole workplace district. So.
Right.
Okay. That's all I got right now.
All right. My first question is, what's your rent range going to be for a 551 square foot unit and up?
Right now, we are projecting, it's generated by a kind of system as the market demands it, but right now we're projecting our studios to start at about $1,000 a month per unit.
It's pretty good rent up to.
Up to for the end of the 3-bedroom or
3-bedroom.
So our 3 bedrooms, I believe, and Chris, maybe of the $1,750 will be the 3 bedrooms on the high end.
That says good things about Port Orange, by the way.
Yeah.
But you can rent a house for that.
Well, well, you can, but it's typical. That's what I see. That's what I see in the market for. Actually, I see that for a little bit more square foot. It's going to be hard to envision that for a 500 square foot unit. But
if you guys looked at the architecture in the project, I didn't go through all the pages with you and show you all the different slides, but they're bringing quality here. That's part of the reason why the pricing is what
I
it
agree.
is.
That's why I was asking what you're expecting to get, because I know we have a segment that would like to find places to rent that's less than that, because frankly people that can afford that can't afford to buy a place. That's my segment of the business. Everybody else pretty well hit everything that I did with the traffic concerns off of Summer Trees. If staff could tell me, is Summer Trees a city road or a county road? I know we'll city road, so we're responsible for that. So we'll be doing the traffic diagramming, whatever you call it. That's all the questions that I have at this time.
We'll stay ready to jump back up and answer questions when
we'll bring your questions after public comment. We'll bring you back up after public comments. Thank you. All right, we're ready to hear from the public. I will say our timer is not functioning this evening, and I failed in the first public comment section to start a timer, so they got a little bit of extra time. But we're limited to 3 minutes per person per issue, so please don't come back with and repeat what somebody else has already said. And I'll need you as you come up to state your name and your address for the record.
My name is Joseph Rodriguez. I'm the president of the HOA at Windsor Hill, which is right behind where they propose to have this development done. I had surgery a couple of weeks ago. They anesthetist scratched my throat with the endotracheal tube, so my vice president, David, is going to do the speaking for us.
Reverse? Okay, yeah, sure.
Your name?
Lee Jewell. I live at 1339 North Wembley Circle, which is right next to the property that's going to be built. We're on the very back side of the property.
Okay.
All right, and what's not been talked about and what concerns me and one of my neighbors in particular is the wooded area right behind us and going into their property is currently occupied by bald eagles, osprey, vultures, hawks, a spotted owl, was a bobcat, we don't know now, and gopher turtles. And I've got a picture of the hawk and the bobcat on my cell phone. And they're teeming in this wooded area here, and you just walk up and down Williamson, you can see the eagles flying in with fish in their talons, but I can't see the nest because I'm not allowed to go on the property, which, that's a good reason. But you can see them in my interview with my neighbors. They've seen them. They're in there, and we don't know what's going to happen to them. And then the other things, obvious things, are the traffic and stuff like that, which Summer Trees, I don't think, can handle that kind of traffic at all. But I think they're going to discuss that. But I can show you the photos of the bobcat if you want to see them.
I've seen them.
Yeah, they're in there, and I mean, they come in our backyards all the time. They're just passing through. They live there, and that particular development's going to take away so many of the trees. They won't have anywhere to go. Well, the cows are there too, the raccoons, the possums. I don't think they're protected. But,
cows are not.
The bald eagle, I think, is protected. Gopher turtles are protected.
I think I saw a Sasquatch back in there one day.
That was me. But anyway, we're really concerned about that. I've got a lady that's 83, 2 doors down. She just can't walk well enough to come here, and she goes, don't let them destroy my arboretum. But anyway, I don't know that anyone knows they're in there. And I'd hate to see those creatures destroyed, eagles can fly away, but they're living in there now. You want to take over the traffic?
Name's David Thurlow. Just real quick, I'm kind of disappointed tonight to find out that this has been going on for a year. Is that what I heard? That they've been dealing with this for a year? We only found out about this by accident 2 weeks ago. And only because somebody who got a notice about a meeting let everybody else know that this was even going on. The thing, I'm glad you're worried about the traffic. Okay, I've lived in Hyde Park before when it was a dead end. Okay, you used to be able to go out on Taylor Road, that was our only exit, and now you can't use that exit at all. We only have Hyde Park Drive to get out of there on the summer trees. When you make a left and go to that light at the pavilion, I've been halfway around that turn and not get through the light. And they want to put a main entrance and exit from this apartment on the summer trees. Nobody's going to go anywhere. They really aren't. The other entrance, you have US Foods come out there with their 18-wheelers and they block the highway. That exit's going to be useless also. So I'm glad you're at least realizing traffic's an issue. It's a great looking place. It's just, I don't know how they're going to get in and out of that division.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Just one quick. Besides the 111 homes in the Windsor Hill, behind us we have the vineyards. All those occupants, they come through our Surrey Park because they cannot get out Taylor Road either. They come through Surrey Park to go out to Hyde Park. And then of course you have traffic coming from the opposite, from the Kohl's and the shopping center. And it is very, very dangerous as it is right now. So when you add another 1,500, 1,800 vehicles and pedestrians, bicycles, or what have you, it's going to be a big issue.
Right,
Thank you for your time.
much.
I didn't know they covered or not. Right behind me is a creek. I think it's a wetland.
Okay. We'll get
Nobody
to.
maintains it.
I'll ask about that.
Okay, the water doesn't move now, and we're gonna have more water getting in it after this.
Okay. Thank you. Please state your name.
I'm Joy Drennan at 1374 Hyde Park Drive. And I've lived in Windsor Hills since 1995 when it was a dead end. My main concern is this is going to be a gated community. When you make a right from Williamson onto Summer Trees Road and there's a gated community, people are going to be lined up getting through a gate. You can't even get through there now. I mean, with a gate there and people stopping at the gate and people lining up, it's going to be such a traffic jam. You're not going to believe the disaster. So, I mean, a gated community right there at that entranceway is, to me, ridiculous. You know, I mean, people are going to be all stopped getting through a gate, and you can't even get through there now. I mean, sometimes I come out of Hyde Park, make a left. I don't even make that light the first time. There might be 9 cars there, and I have to wait like for 2 lights. So I'm just stating, you know, that I don't think this is a very good idea for any of us living there.
All right. Thank you very much.
My name is Frederick James, also a Hyde Park resident. It sounds like you have an excellent plan. I think it's just going in the wrong place. My concern is not just with the traffic flow from the new development here, but the general flow of what's going to happen when all the houses that are being built off Town Park open up and the apartments there. All of that traffic is going to go to Williams. And this would just be one more nail. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jake Johansson, City Manager, 6611 Maryvale Lane, Port Orange, Florida. I'd like the Planning Commission to know a few macro things before you decide. Number one, I think the average person may not know that we are working very hard to expand Williamson to 4 lanes from Bevel Road all the way to Dunlawton in conjunction with the county and Daytona. That'll free up some of that traffic. I'm very concerned in the future with the Port Orange, the interchange, the Dunlawton interchange. So I believe that this project as opposed to the alternative, is a better suited project. I'm trying as with staff to push commercial away from that interchange. US Foods, everything there clogging up that interchange will cause major problems for us in the future, and the interchange is not going to get any better. Some of you have seen the Yorktown extension to try to get people off of Dunlawton so they don't have to go to that interchange. The city might be spending a lot of money to keep people out of that interchange. Here is another option to move commercial down Williamson away from the interchange and lessen the traffic that these folks are concerned with. Traffic will be a concern in the future. This lessens the traffic. Remember, the alternative is commercial, another commercial facility. It could be a lot of retail, and the traffic could be worse. So I want you all to consider that. The other thing I want you to consider is that these are apartments. Everybody's talked about owning property. I have conversations at the county level about bringing our young family members and our kids back here. The average age of Port Orange is 48.2. I would like to stay in my job and lower it to below 45. And I don't want to be here forever. So this gets our young adults that can't afford a home right off the bat to move in, so they don't have to live with us, and they can move into an apartment and have access. I have a bunch of teenagers that I know. My son drives, but there's a bunch of them that don't drive anymore. They want to live across the street from the pavilion. They want to go to the coffee shop. They want to go to Five Guys. They want to go to the movies, and they don't want to use fossil fuel to do it. Here's another opportunity to do that. So those are the things that we considered, and some other things when we decided to seriously look into allowing these guys to move forward and work with staff to see how we can make it happen. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Jake.
Any more public comments? Did you want to answer the concern, sir?
Yeah, a couple things I just want to say just for the record. Thank you, first of all, because they're all good questions. The question about the environmental aspects, seeing an eagle, I guess, and maybe some other wildlife. We've done a cursory look at the property already. I think there maybe are some people around there that aren't animals that probably need to scoot out of the woods. But at this point, we don't see any eagle's nests. We don't see anything that's blatant. I think there might be a couple of gophers in there. But when we come through the site plan process, we're going to do a complete review. If something's there, we have to deal with it. That's what your code says. So
could you elaborate? For the members of the public that asked, could you elaborate a little bit on what you have to go through for wildlife mitigation?
Yeah, and so what I'll do is I'll certainly let staff give you their opinion on that, because I'm not the authority and I'm the applicant. But I can tell you that in my experience, we're going to be going through a much more detailed review as we come through the site plan review process, which we haven't started yet. You know, basically what we're doing here, as I've said a million times, is we're changing it from 1 million square feet of commercial to a few hundred apartments conceptually. But that's only at this level here. We're going to come through with a plan, and when you see the plan, you're going to see all of the details, including how the stormwater works, how the wildlife is protected, et cetera, how the water and sewer system is going to work. But again, Penny, if you want to elaborate, or it's up to you guys.
Okay, thank you.
That's my summary of it. But so a couple of things. You know, we talked about traffic. Thank you, Jake, for talking about the comparative traffic thing. So the intuitive part of this is kind of right there in your face. I mean, you know, commercial draws people and brings them there. In this case, you know, bringing people that are going to be able to arguably walk somewhere or bicycle somewhere, not even have to use their cars, or not go very far to do some of the things that you do when you're leaving your home. This is giving that opportunity with the mixture of uses. I mean, we've talked about smart growth in Volusia County for almost 20 years now, and this is it. When you start to mix these uses up so people have a pedestrian environment, they have an opportunity to shorten trips or eliminate them, the traffic piece goes away. I get the comments from the neighbors that would rather have nothing built here, because that's better for them, for sure. I agree with them, but that's not what's going to happen. This piece of property is going to be developed.
Any more questions from the board? Tom, Lance, down here?
Sorry to take so much time.
That's okay.
Thank you, Rob.
Last chance for public comments. Anybody that hasn't spoke? I'll entertain a motion.
More discussion? We have when you lay down the groundwork of some type of a workplace district like this, which again was done 17 years ago, you're trying to bring business to a certain area. Well, guess what? It worked. And just a couple things you think about. You got Tompkins Pump is getting ready to expand out. Thompson Pump's getting ready to expand out there. And you got a lot of things going on out there. Still got more houses coming. We've made this district to make business come here, and it has. Now, to go out here in this particular piece of property and throw in 1 million feet of commercial, not smart. I mean, we have to lessen this impact as best we can. We've already invited it, so now we need to contain it. And by containing it, I think, is by less impact traffic-wise, by not having the commercial space. Like Jake said, moving it down, getting it further away, get it away from the Dunlawton interchange with less traffic. And that's what I think a project like this does. That's just my comment on that.
Anybody else? I did want, if we could have staff back up here, and Alfie or...
Yes, sir.
Was this, how was this advertised to the neighboring residents?
This is a land development code amendment, so there's no direct advertising by staff that's required at this point until we get to council. However, the applicant voluntarily held a neighborhood meeting last Thursday, and they sent purposefully, not accidentally, notices to the adjoining HOAs and adjoining property, and then they sent specific individual invitations, not just to the HOAs, but also to all the abutting property owners to come to that neighborhood meeting.
So there was an opportunity.
There was a neighborhood meeting last Thursday.
Even at this stage, there was an opportunity. And there will be another opportunity when they do submit a site plan? Would that be?
Well, there'll be opportunities to speak when it goes forward to council. When they do submit a site plan, the DRC meeting is open to the public. We always provide our plans are all public records. We can send the plans if they would like to come in and sit down and look at them with us, or send it to them to review on their own. That's available as well.
And the city will be working to mitigate the traffic.
Yes, sir.
To determine the flow and all of that too.
As I stated in my presentation, this is a land development code amendment, but if it does get approved and the site plan is submitted, there has to be a detailed environmental analysis, has to be reviewed and permitted by the required agencies, reviewed by St. John's River Water Management District and permitted, reviewed by our engineers. Detailed traffic impact analysis has to be reviewed, not only by us, by Volusia County, and approved. And then there will likely be a transportation fair share agreement that would cover impacts to traffic.
So if we approve this land development code tonight and switch it to residential, then they would have to go back through the same process again to go back to commercial. So if we do this tonight, we're going to reduce the possibility of...
The zoning allows commercial. It just opens the window to allow for one more multifamily development in the workplace.
So we wouldn't be stopping.
If for some reason this land development code got amended and somebody else showed up before them with a commercial site plan for this site, which I don't anticipate because they're working with the property owner, the commercial zoning allows commercial. Their intent is to follow up with the site plan if this gets approved.
Okay, and the final thing that I had was the wildlife mitigation. Some of the concerns of the residents, and the lady that couldn't be here this evening was concerned. And I know pretty much the answer to the question I'm asking, but I want it on the record, and I want it for the people that's here and the people that's probably watching. Could you tell us what you have to go through to?
Yeah, just like all the other types of permits, it gets reviewed by various agencies. If there is any kind of mitigation, that would have to be addressed at that time. We review, the various species, flora, fauna, if anything's protected, it needs to be mitigated for. If it can't be saved on site, we have options that are locally here. We have a local mitigation bank, but they have to go through that detailed permitting process, not only locally, but also regionally and through the state.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there anything else from up here?
What happens if they find a whole community of gopher turtles?
They got to relocate them.
Yeah, if they're not able to be saved on site, which most likely they, depending on where they're at, they'll have to relocate them. We are fortunate to have a local area where they can be relocated, where it's not going to be like relocating it somewhere else in Central Florida. We have our own area here in Port Orange.
Anything else?
How many gopher turtles live on that site?
I haven't been to that hotel recently.
At the Gopher Turtle Park?
I hate to have to ask you to come up to the podium.
Well, I can speak loud enough for everyone to hear me, believe me. My concern is you're trying to push, my name is Teresa Wright.
Thank you.
And I live on Wembley Circle.
Thank you.
So, what I am wanting to know is if you're pushing all of the traffic away from the Dunlawton interchange, which is, you're talking about Dunlawton, Williamson on the west side of 95, is that correct? Is that what you're trying to do? Then that leaves only Summer Trees and Taylor Road. So what type of plans are in place for widening Summer Trees so that we have the traffic flowing a little bit better there and having turning lights on Taylor Road at the entrance to Windsor Hill or Hyde Park and Summer Trees? Where else is the traffic going to go? And that's all I have to ask. I just want that to be thought of.
It will be. Thank you.
Could I ask another question of the applicant? Get it,
Certainly.
Rob.
They're paid by the minute, right?
And I assume if this was to go forward and onward, so when we talk about the traffic studies and so on, is it your job, I guess, to get involved with the signalization?
That's a little bit of a loaded question, but yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. So to the extent that concurrency is the word you and I were talking about before.
Right.
So we're talking about both the mechanical pieces of what's happening on this site, and we're talking about off-site improvements if necessary. So if this development requires an off-site improvement or some part of it, they have to pay their prop share, as you mentioned. And so in this case, whether there's going to be a site that needs to a stoplight that needs to be built for this project, very unlikely.
Or even just signalization, timing, time bars,
timing's part of it.
Go.
I mean, I'm not going to get Matthew would be up here for another 45 minutes.
Right, we won't talk about, but yeah.
But yeah, so he knows all that and hasn't been modeled yet. So they've got to model that with specificity. So they say, okay, you get your concurrency certificate based on this, this, and this.
Gotcha.
We haven't gotten there yet.
Okay.
We got to get past this first.
Okay.
Okay.
Does that help the question at all?
Yes, it does answer the question that it will be thought of.
Right.
But myself, I only learned about this last week, and we do need, this group of people here, I have lived there since 95. There was no Summer Trees when I bought my house. So my concern is that there should be some forethought on what's going to happen with Summer Trees, because that's going to become where all the traffic is pushed. Because people are going to want to go through Dunlawton at Williamson.
And what my question to him was is that when they do their due diligence and they do their traffic studies, it's going to say we need to do something here, 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 potentially at off-site areas. And may it be timing of a signal or other things.
Absolutely.
Right.
And so there may be backlog problems that she's complaining about that has nothing to do with us, but those things are going to be looked at when he takes a look holistically on how this project is affected in the road network.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
One more. Usually not the second time, but.
Was it mentioned that we were notified, that Windsor Hill were notified? Did I hear that instead?
It was on, what you got was
okay.
last week. That was the,
I spoke with everybody because they were asking me about it, and we got a handful of mail only on Wembley Circle behind that had about 6 envelopes or so.
I wanted to answer his question to tell him. So we anticipated that there were going to be people who wanted to know what was going on, and so my paralegal Debbie LaCroix here actually sent out. I was trying to get her to tell me she sent out notices to what turns out to be hundreds of people, I think, because of the associations. We wanted to make sure everybody knew. They came to a meeting last week, and we hosted them at the pavilion. I think everybody had good conversation. We were there for quite some time, showed all the boards and things that we haven't shown you guys. And I think we got a lot of questions answered. I think we'd probably have 100 people here if we didn't do that. So I know that there's still some questions, and those will be answered as we go further through the process, but we had a lot of discourse with the people who showed up at the meeting. I even have some pictures in my phone. It went well. I think everybody had a lot of questions answered, and they may have some that we still need to answer. So I just want you to know we did more than what's required of us.
Yeah, I understand that. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm Debbie LaCroix, by the way, and for the record, the
Debbie.
Windsor Hill Homeowners Association.
Debbie, could you come up to the...
Sure, sorry. I've never had to do this before. The Windsor Hills Homeowners Association, at their address as provided to the property appraiser, which is in Titusville, was notified of the neighborhood meeting.
Okay. Thank you.
That's how HOA is.
All right. Any more comments? Public's done. I need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve case number 18-25000002.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Yes.
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 I'll just say no, just spice things up.
Passes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, unfortunately.
Okay, let's take 3 minutes.
Good deal, Lance.
Settle down.
I hope this next one's easier.
Yeah, that cold air's coming
Can this
through
next
there.
one be easier,
Yes,
Penelope?
I have
Thank
no
you.
PowerPoints.
Okay. Case number 18. I'll get the right one here.
Yeah, I was.
Where am I here?
Okay, yeah,
scroll through my
Item
50
11.
pictures from Zeb Cohen.
18-25000003. Land Development Code Text Amendment, Chapter 17, Section 1. Amendment to Chapter 17, Section 1 of the Land Development Code to codify the city's policy to allow agricultural uses on property rezoned to non-agriculture zoning district for future development.
Penelope Cruz, planner. Basically exactly what the chairman just said. This has been the city's policy historically, that if a property is rezoned from agriculture to a different non-agricultural zoning, but they're not ready to develop yet, we've allowed that interim agriculture use to go on. They usually have an ag exemption until they're ready to develop. We're just trying to codify that policy to make it more transparent and just clearer for the landowners and for the general public. So the text that's in your staff report will just be added to the beginning part of the zoning chapter in the Land Development Code. Applies to all the categories. And it's basically, it's the ongoing policy the city's had, just kind of making it a little bit more transparent for everybody. Any questions?
Yeah.
Lance,
No.
start on your end?
No, I
Tom?
don't have anything.
I don't think so, no.
Kind of similar to how the cows are on that property we just talked about right now. You know? Same idea.
I'm all for it, yeah.
I see Waffle House on the picture. Can we talk about the sign? I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh, I'm like, I did not have any pictures.
Lance didn't say it, so I thought somebody needed to. No, I'm good.
That's later.
Tim, close
No,
his eyes.
I have no questions.
You see my face? I was like,
It was great. I wish I'd been videoing
I
that.
have no questions. We need a motion.
okay, thank you.
Motion to approve case number 18-400000001.
Second.
Which one am I
Second.
on?
And
Whatever.
I almost missed calling
thought-
for public comments.
That's not the one we're on, is it?
Oh, did I say the wrong one?
Did you?
Did I?
We're at 250.
250000003.
And we have a
Just
same-
scrolling through
And
things
do we
got
have
me
the
messed
same
up.
second?
Second.
Public comments. Thank you, Matt.
Hi, my name's Dwight Duran. I'm president of Zeb Cohen Associates engineering firm in Ormond Beach, but I'm also chairman of Team Volusia, which is the economic development corporation that serves Volusia County. And I just want to commend you on your forward thinking. A lot of the cities are stuck in the mud because landowners don't want to change their classification in fear of losing their tax status. It's not an exemption. It is actually a agricultural tax level, which is less. So it's really stunting economic development in a lot of the cities. And what you're doing right here is creating reducing a fear from property owners not sitting on their property and coming through and doing some entitlement work without being penalized through the tax side. So this is very, very forward thinking, and I appreciate it very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dwight.
Thank you.
Any further comments? Call the roll, please.
Lance Reed?
Yes.
Tom Shorter?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Darrell Wolfson?
Yes, ma'am.
Maria Melvin?
Yes.
John Newcomb?
Yes.
Motion carries. Case number 18-400000001. Second Amendment to the amended and restated Nova Depot Planned Commercial Development, Master Development Agreement, and Conceptual Development Plan at 3730 Nova Road. A request by the applicant to amend the amended and restated Nova Depot Planned Commercial Development, Master Development Agreement, and Conceptual Development Plan to establish the framework to subdivide a commercial lot into 2 commercial lots.
Did you read that again?
This is the Waffle House one.
Not really. Next door. Gwen Perney, planner. The Second Amendment is proposing 2
two amendments to the Nova Depot PCD. The first one is to allow 4 commercial lots within the PCD, and the second is to change the minimum lot area from 35,000 square feet to 30,000 square feet. Staff has reviewed the amendment to be consistent with the Land Development Code, the current MDA, and the comp plan, and staff is recommending approval of the second amendment, subject to resolution of remaining comments prior to City Council and review by the City Attorney for legal form and content. Questions?
John?
No questions. It's pretty straightforward.
Crickets.
Very good.
Well done.
And the applicant's here if you have any questions for the applicant.
Tom?
Yes, I do have a question. So regarding the Waffle House parcel, the developer had agreed to extend the access drive to the south end for future connection to the property to the south.
They are required to do a cross-access easement and stub it out to that south property line, which is existing.
Who owns the south property?
Andy Clark.
The property to the south is the
Olive
Nova
Orchard
Depot
Storage,
Olive
right?
Orchard.
And who owns this property?
The property owner for the Nova Depot site, or the
Who's the applicant?
applicant is Mike Woods with Cobb Cole.
Andy.
The owner of the Nova Depot PCD is Nova Port Orange LLC.
Just a company.
I understand. So when does that stub out have to be connected to the southern parcel owned by a separate entity?
there was a date on
When the south property, if they ever redevelop, will have to provide that cross connection, or if they want to do it now, they can. The cross access easement is there and provided to that stub out so that the property to the south can connect.
So whenever they redevelop that southern property means, what does that mean?
Nothing. It's already developed.
Well, or if they want to do a redevelopment, or if, you know, they just want to make that connection at this point. But as of right now, the cross-access easement has been provided to that southern property line.
Got it. Thank you.
See, because and again, I'm going to just hop on that one because we got snowed on this one on the first go by, okay? And I think this stinks. And that road was always to connect. It was always to connect. And somehow or another, it got sold and it didn't. And it's still to this day. So there, just because there is that cross-access easement doesn't mean that Andy Clark has a hook to it or if they have to hook to it.
Correct. Yeah, so
you know what I mean? It's just, we just got, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to talk to that a little bit. So when the property to the south was developed that we're talking about, the Olive Orchard storage property, that code provision that now requires cross-access easement was not in place. So that's kind of what we're dealing with here. You had that developed, there, got approved, the site plan came through, it's done. Then you have this property to the north developed. Now they've met what their requirement is, which is you go all the way up and you stub out. So the only time that we're going to be able to require Andy's property to connect to that
The only
access.
thing was, Matt, is that Andy owned both of them at the time it came in front of here.
And
You know
there's
what I mean?
more than one of us here that thinks that is what the decision was.
But Andy
We all
owned both
expect
of
it.
them when
When he
this
sold
thing
it.
got approved.
I get that.
Okay. You're saying when he sold it off, he owned
Yeah, well, he owned this one when it first came in front of us about this road.
Okay.
So that's all I'm
Okay.
saying. We're already past it now
Gotcha,
because we
gotcha.
already built it.
Yeah.
Go ahead, I'm done.
Thank you. For the record, Michael Woods with the law firm Cobb Cole, 351 East New York Avenue, Suite 200, DeLand. Basically here to answer any questions you may have. We are aware of that situation with the neighbor to the south, and from the applicant's perspective as the owner of the central parcel now, as Mr. Jones has said, we've put in all requirements there, but we can't force him to connect to it. We were made aware by staff of the intense feeling on that, and well, and I recognize it, and you know, kind of doing the due diligence kind of in the background of how that happened was here. But we've done everything that we can do to, at any point in time, if there's ever any means for the city to compel, you've got the property right to do so. It's just we're not the trigger for that.
Next.
I'm good.
I'm good.
Nothing there.
Nothing here?
Thank you.
I agree with Mr. Green that, you know, it's silly to see those stub outs with the little red signs up there that's blocked off. It's certainly forwarded the intention to have a continuity and another way to move north and south without having to get back out on the main road and connectivity. But that's not what we're, you know.
That's not what we're here for tonight.
Yeah, that's not what we're here for tonight.
Felt good for
Is
a
there any
minute, though.
public comment on this?
No kidding.
There being no public comment, I will entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve case number 18-4000001.
Second.
Would you call the roll, please?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
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 Thank you.
That was a very firm no, by the way.
It was.
Very firm.
I was like offended.
I want
for
to
a
make sure the
second.
microphone was working and everybody heard it.
Okay, let's see where we are here. Make sure I get the right one. Can't check them off on the computer as easily as you can.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, okay. Case number 18-2000002. Administrative Large-Scale Comprehensive Plan Future Land Use Amendment, Williamson Boulevard, Willow Run Boulevard site. South side of Willow Run Boulevard, east of Williamson Boulevard. A proposed amendment to change the Comprehensive Plan Future Land Use designations for 34.5 acres plus or minus from urban high-density residential to urban medium-density residential and suburban residential to mixed-use center. Tim Berman.
Thank you. Tim Berman, Community Development. Yes, as the chairman indicated, this is a future land use amendment. In addition to the proposed change, there's also a future element policy cap there, which would cap this property to 276 dwelling units and 250,000 square feet of non-residential uses. Kind of speaking, this kind of goes together with the amendment that you saw previously here, and the fact that basically we're kind of trying to take the commercial intensity away from the intersection of Dunlawton and Williamson interchange area and move it forward, basically putting the residential down there and taking that commercial area and putting it up at the intersection of Willow Run and Williamson Boulevard. So this is basically part of what that future land use amendment is to do, is to kind of the second part of that shift then. We're trying to establish that area as a commercial node, as it is indicated already in our comprehensive plan. Also, as indicated in the staff report, the comp plan states that we should have no net loss of commercial land use. So anticipating that property further to the south being developed with multifamily and losing that commercial area down there, we're basically transferring it over to a area where it says need more commercial area and can be developed in that location. Staff did review for the future land use for consistency. As indicated there are some deficiencies. However, there is sufficient capacity to address those. As for transportation, that will be examined when a site plan comes in here, and they will be required to make the proper mitigation payments and mitigate at that time when development is proposed. And we know what we're looking at in terms of development site. Staff is recommending approval of the large-scale comprehensive future land use amendment. Are there any questions?
I believe we're starting on your end this time.
All right, so I guess I'm just a little confused, which doesn't take much. So the property is zoned now as what?
It's got future land use for multifamily, can allow up to 326 multifamily units down right now that future land use is for.
Okay. And we're changing it to?
Mixed use center. Basically, it still allows some component of residential, but also allows for non-residential uses. Office, commercial, institutional uses can be there basically in a mixture of uses. And the comp plan has it identified as a commercial node.
Right.
Basically to serve that whole entire area, the residential area down Willow Run Boulevard. Basically the intent is to kind of basically create the commercial area for that. So those residents are not traveling elsewhere within the city, can go to there. Also, there's a large number of residents that will be tied in with the eventual connection of Yorktown Boulevard that can come up to this node. Again, it's basically trying to find other ways to not get traffic off of Dunlawton and basically have other commercial areas further away from Dunlawton where they can go to that area instead of the Dunlawton area.
But we
is
are
what they
decreasing the proposed density available on this site.
Yes,
correct?
we are allowing more non-residential uses than currently allowed there.
Yeah.
And then also we are keeping some residential on there. It's going from 326 to 770. It's about a 50 unit decrease in residential then. And these are again maximum caps. So once the site plan comes in, it could be lower once they start doing the site plan with stormwater, parking and stuff like that. But these are just a theoretical maximum caps on that 34.5 acre property.
Okay, thank you.
Tom? Tim, why is the city doing this and not the landowner?
Basically, the city is looking at it from the other amendment that we had in here recently with the LDC amendment and just taking that as basically a preemptive step here. Also, this is kind of continuing with what we've been doing where we have these PCDs or PUDs that are basically expired, which the current zoning on it is PUD, but there's no MDA. And if you've seen, we've done it a number of times with projects here where we're basically going through and correcting that, getting rid of that and go with conventional zoning.
Right.
In this case, in order to get that mixed use zoning, we had to change the future land use on it then. And it basically, goes, as the city's trying to progress with this idea of moving these commercial areas, is why we proposed this to the property owners was aware of it. And did not, indicate it, so we're kind of doing this as a, to reportion that commercial there, while also keeping some residential on it. So that's why the city was taking the initiative on this one. And we're looking at other areas too, to, come before with this too.
Right. Was there any requirement for notification of the
There's the yellow public notice sign is on the subject property, the one that's typically all there then. So we have not received any calls on it as of yet. But there is the large yellow sign, and also there's a public notice put in the newspaper 10 days prior to this meeting. And there will be additional notice, as we go through the process here.
Signs on Williamson or on Willow Run?
Willow Run.
Okay. All right.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask another question on this?
Sure.
So, I'm having a brain fart here. Who owns the property? Who owns this property, this subject property? You're saying, who owns it?
The Crossley family.
Okay. And we're changing the zoning, and do they know, and they know about?
They're aware of it.
Changing land use?
Changing land use, changing.
Underneath them? No?
Yes. They are aware of the future land use change, and they are aware of the rezoning. They indicated to us through signed documents that they are aware of this, and they are okay with us moving forward.
Okay, I didn't want to get into a Ponce Inlet thing.
No, that was the first thing we did before we even started doing this one, was to check with them.
And this really helps with the Yorktown
Correct.
extension, really.
All right,
Is that
thank you.
correct?
Correct.
Mr. Buchanan?
No, I think I got it. Okay. Thank you.
Ms. Bonet?
Once again, we have a cow problem. What are we going to do with the cows on that property? No, just kidding.
I'm surprised. The folks that were here earlier didn't stay.
It's like cows all over the place here.
Well, if the last amendment be getting approved, they can stay on there till development occurs. So we've extended their stay there for a while.
So Yorktown's going to kind of cut through this.
Yeah, I think we indicated that in the
Yes.
the plan. There's basically the general location of the Yorktown extension is going through that property. We're still working on basically the exact location of where that's going to be,
Okay.
As we work with the design there. But the intent is just work on these future land uses, is to at least let you know that that extension is proposed to go through that property.
So what you have here is not, could change.
This is not
Right.
the location of where that right of way is. We are still working on basically getting that right of way placed in the most logical and safest way and most efficient to move cars on that area, because it involves Yorktown and the Willow Run area then.
I just had kind of always envisioned Yorktown going straight to Williamson's, and now it's curving off and going to dead end on Willow Run, which
Yeah.
isn't how I envisioned it. So
I think
was
it's basically
just
that approach off the ramp there.
Yeah,
yeah. It's got to come into that Willow Run and then make that
yeah,
kind of
I
that
see.
left
Okay,
of it.
I was just curious. I'm good.
Traffic circles.
John?
Just curious, has the property owner approached with any interest in developing that a certain way, or is it just on the market, or have they had any
They
idea?
indicated that they're interested in marketing basically for the uses that this would carry.
Okay.
Office, combination of office, retail, multifamily, walkable community. It's basically allows for we think basically a little bit more development proposals to come in versus the single use zoning which you typically see throughout the city.
So by giving them other options, it's easier to develop for them, making it more
I think it's more
profitable
attractive
for them to.
It's more
have-
attractive to bring,
yeah.
bring commercial into our city, which we want to have that
Okay.
commercial tax base, serve our residents, and kind of further those goals of, you know, getting retail services, offices closer to the residents, avoiding Dunlawton.
So they've had the property for a while. Have they made intentions to do some developing on it, or they just want to get it rezoned so that it becomes more potentially valuable and then sell it?
Well, they're not rezoning it, we are, right?
Yeah,
Well, that's my point.
yeah.
They're waiting for us to rezone it, make it more affordable for them
I think
to
they've
sell
actively been looking to market it, and we approached them on this, and they'll continue to market it under these new regulations if approved.
it. Okay, thanks.
We're going to hear from the people on Chardonnay eventually.
Yes.
And this is possible because of the amendment to Chapter 17?
This is due to the LDC amendment that on the regarding kind of in the PCA workplace district that was essentially upping the percentage of multifamily.
Right.
Because that was removing, like they were saying, that theoretical maximum up to 1 million square feet of commercial that we're losing from our tax base with the multifamily going in there. But you know that's good sign because it's removing that heavy user off that intersection area, and to recoup some of that commercial, we're basically applying it to this Willow Run intersection. Then it's at maximum it's $250,000. Theoretically, once you do site plans on that, that number will go down, even more than. So that's kind of like that shift there. So they're kind of in line together that way.
Is there any public comments on this?
You're not the public. Sit down.
He's still a city resident.
No, I'm not going to talk you out of it. Jake Johansson, City Manager, 6611 Maryvale Lane. Just to reiterate, this is part of that push to get the commercial farther down the road. There have been brought some issues, traffic on Willow Run, where Yorktown Extension may end up. Yes, we've thought of all that. Yes, we're working with LTG and others to talk about expanding and widening Willow Run so we can stack enough cars to make the right turn down in Williamson. We've thought about all this. The people in Chardonnay may be a little upset. However, if Yorktown Extension gets approved as we envision it, all those people that take shortcuts through that neighborhood, and they do, will no longer take shortcuts because you're going to rather be on Yorktown to get to Willow Run than whip through that subdivision. So I think you're going to benefit from what they're doing, and the landowners and developers are very interested in this. Mixed use is the flavor du jour. So there's some advantages to moving that commercial, as I had said earlier, and I don't think it's coincidental that both these things are on this Planning Commission's meeting today. It was kind of a
Package deal.
packaged,
Yeah.
kind of. You can say yes to one, no to the other, but the city supports saying yes to both to meet our demand to get that commercial away from that interchange. Thank you.
We need a motion.
Make a motion to approve case number 18-200000002.
Second.
Motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
Yes.
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 Motion carries. Case number 18-600000001. They get enough zeros in there?
Yes.
Administrative rezoning, Williamson Boulevard, Willow Run Boulevard site, south side of Willow Run Boulevard, east of Williamson Boulevard. A proposed amendment to rezone plus minus 34.5 acres from planned unit development to mixed use center district and plus minus 5 acres from planned unit development to community commercial. Sounds like I repeated myself, but go for it, Mr.
Yes,
Berman.
it's pretty much a.
Tim Berman, Community Development. This is basically the next step from going from the future land use. Now we're applying to get rid of this outdated PUD that no longer has an MDA and apply standard city conventional zoning on it. Basically, the 34.5 acres that the future land use amendment was for would be zoned to mixed use center, and there's 5 existing acres that have commercial future land use that would be rezoned to community commercial. Basically, staff has reviewed the request and is recommending approval of this rezoning request.
Mr. Junko.
I have no questions. It's housekeeping, and it's consistent with what we just approved. So, and it's in that area, so I'm fine with it.
Maria?
No questions.
Ditto.
I'm good. Tom?
I'm fine, thank you very much,
Lance?
Tim.
I have nothing.
I'm good. I need a motion.
Make a motion to approve case 18-600000001.
Second.
Motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
Yes.
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 Yes. Oh my God, my scroll stopped. Are we done?
It really stopped.
All right, we are to commissioner. We're to commissioner comments.
139 pages.
We are?
I feel like a city council meeting.
We are.
Come on up, Tim.
So that Waffle House sign. No.
No, but I am going to talk about a sign.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
And I guess I'm just curious
Sunny's
as to how
barbecue.
long does the city let a commercial business have hurricane damage? And my point is the Sunny's barbecue sign.
I knew
We
it.
are we have code enforcement action on that one, and we are working with Sunny's. We've basically been in contact with our sign contractor to get rid of that sign that is leaning and get ready to fall over. So we have code action on it. I'll go ahead and look at that tomorrow morning and give you a call where we are with the process there. But we started that basically about a month and a half ago. We typically gave businesses a few months basically to get back with the from the hurricanes in. That we started going to with code enforcement action. So there's that one on Dunlawton, and also the one I thought you were going to talk about was the temporary gas station sign at
Yes,
where
it was.
basically I think Swallowtail in Dunlawton, where they've got that and the tree stump sitting there. So that's the one I thought you were going to talk about. But we've got, but
we would like to talk about that one too.
But
so
basically, we started code enforcement action, and I know at least the Sunny one, we basically looked or been talking with them on that. They were also looking at doing a possible interior exterior remodel. So we've been kind of working with them on that then with that sign then.
Again, that just seems like to me they're just going to pull some strings. The sign needs to either be fixed or it needs to go because everybody's gone to great lengths to fix their stuff on Dunlawton, and that thing is just, it's had enough, All right, so one more thing. How's the clock ticking on Williamson and Madeline building? We got to be getting close. That building has fallen into disarray, and I know we talked about it a bunch of times, and as they said, as long as it's not looking bad, it's not being, all the windows are smashed out of it. I mean, it's just, it's falling into what we said it wasn't going to do. But
the clock continues to tick on that one, and we will go ahead and, I mean, they still have to keep this site in upkeep in terms of that. So we're going to have, code enforcement go out there. I mean, basically the broken windows and the grass, stuff like that still has to be maintained during that time period then.
Yeah.
So
There
we'll
was
go
a
ahead.
rumor that there were some homeless people living in there.
All right, we will check into that tomorrow morning.
Well, I'm just
or
saying, we
tomorrow.
talked about it. You said as long as it was up, there wasn't, broken windows or whatever.
The
but
broken windows, those have to be boarded no matter what.
Right.
And
Yeah.
we'll basically, go out there, and we've got to go out usually every 3 months on that site and, contact the property owner, remind them, hey, you have to still keep this up and, sealed and maintain the site then, and we'll have to do that again then.
Well, I mean, yeah, because we don't seem to be effective on it because it's in disarray and it just looks worse and worse, and I can't wait for it to be flattened.
Me too.
Well,
Sorry. Go ahead, I'm done.
No, I was going to ask you because obviously notice has been sent to them already. Have they responded and taken care of the actions you've requested before?
They've had meetings with us basically about doing basically redeveloping the site and basically following through the site plan and also trying to rehab the building. They've contacted a couple of engineering firms have contacted us since they have to go in there and certify the building to continue it then, and we've had a couple of engineering firms contact us and indicate that they were preparing to go out to the site to do that then.
Really?
So there has been movement into the direction of redeveloping the site by the property owner, but we have not seen those plans officially been submitted.
I mean, I'd be interested to see somebody want to certify that building as long as it's been sitting. It'd be interesting to see. But hey, somebody wants to stamp it.
Are these different engineering firms kind of doing the same thing each time?
No, just they're inquiring basically as to what we'd be looking for. So they're
Because
speaking
if
with
somebody
our
wanted to buy it, they'd have to do due
They're
diligence.
speaking with their
or
building
take-
official as
fix
to
it.
what he's going to look for them to provide for them. Basically, to say the building is basically meets code and can be continued to be habitable space.
I guess I'm just trying to figure out if they're shopping engineers and delaying this issue, or actually trying to do something going forward.
I'm not sure if basically if they're contacting engineers and after they look at the project, they say no, they don't want it, so he's looking for another one then. But the past 3 months we've had more movement on that project than we have in probably 2 years.
Well, at least you got something. Yeah.
So,
thank you.
No, the only thing I'm happy to see Giuseppe's is finally moving along.
Yep. Get the
Excited about
inspection started. I think they're pouring the footers tomorrow.
Good for them.
Cool.
That's it.
I have a quick question that you may or may not know the answer to, but I was curious about an update for the range that's going out by the Skeet and Trap Club. I know that's county, but it's for our police department, the gun range that's going out there, training or whatever it is.
Yeah, I know that's
Do you know
basically
anything about
we're
it?
still
Pioneer Trail?
Offline.
Yeah. I was just curious if there was an update, because it seems to be like moving very slow.
I think you can give the update offline then.
Where's
Okay.
that?
Off Pioneer Trail, there's this. If you go past the Cabbage Patch across Tomoka Farms Road, Pioneer Trail to the right, there's kind of just a little turn-off road.
Old
Way
Daytona.
back in there is the Skeet and Track Club, and across from that, it's supposed to be some kind of training facility for the police department or something for our police department that they've been working with the county on, but it's been very slow moving. And the Skeet and Trap Club keeps asking me, and I'm like, I don't know.
They want the electricity.
Yes, they want the electricity to build a clubhouse. That's why. Yeah. So.
No comments, but I'm making a public announcement reminding everyone that we have Port Orange Family Days event starting today, running through Sunday. And it's going to be a lot of fun. The weather's favorable, so hopefully people listening to this podcast will join us. It's going to be a lot of fun.
And myself, I would like to note that we did this most all of us paperless. I have about 5 pages printed here.
0.
And I don't like it. Is there any?
Guilty.
I do have a short list of things that I would like to receive differently than what's currently available. It would make it a little bit easier for me to flip back and forth and look at the large format PDFs. It might just be something that's with my software, but if I could get the large format things in separate PDFs, it would certainly help me to have them in different windows, because the format that I'm getting it in now, I open one PDF and
You're scrolling a
I
ton.
can't, yeah, I'm scrolling, and then I go to a large page and it pops out, then it pops back.
We'll get with Melanie in our office
Microsoft.
who does that, and we'll basically do a couple tests here and see what we can get to you. So you might get a couple tests over the next couple of weeks then.
You should get a Mac, because mine was perfect other than the scrolling.
Newton's is from 1976.
This is
Got
a
floppy disk.
2015.
One thing that helped me that I noticed is my link automatically opened to Windows Explorer, and that just gives you one PDF.
Yeah.
If you copy and paste that link, or if yours automatically opens in Chrome, you have the ability, just like the council packets, then there's a little bookmark at the right top
I've
corner.
got the bookmarks.
And then you can open them all individually, and that was a lot more helpful.
I hadn't tried that.
Yeah, because then you can, all the staff reports are individual links.
No, it's not letting me do that, but I'll figure it out. I have to.
Cool.
All right.
It was
Thanks,
good
Tim.
though. I liked it.
Is there any staff comments?
For real?
Yeah.
No.
Staff comments.
Was the
this
sign
evening?
bigger than the truck? As big as the truck?
The thing is, you brought that up.
Are you?
I didn't know I had one.
Are you done, Tim?
Yes.
No more staff comments. All right. Meeting adjourned.
Great.
Hold on. Public comments. Are there any more public comments?
There we go.
All right. Good.
You gotta-
Meeting adjourned.
You gotta say something to be able to get paid?
All right, vaulted out of